I'm Craig Heffernan, and welcome to NAB 2019 with Blackmagic Design. At the show this year, we've announced Resolve 16. Alongside a number of incremental increases and performance increases across our grading, fusion and Fairlight tools, we've also looked incredibly at the edit tools that we have available inside of Resolve 16 and introduced a brand new way of looking at how we can work quickly, efficiently and as fast as possible in a non-linear world with the new cut page. Well, what we're doing with Resolve 16 is trying to introduce a set of tools where editors can really think about how quickly and efficiently the interface of Resolve can be adapted so that we can work as quickly as possible on projects that maybe we don't have a lot of time to work on. In the edit page, we've worked really hard with Resolve over the past number of versions to create an edit system that's very comprehensive, very capable, and delivers a really great set of tools for crafting and fine-tuning any project, particularly those projects which are longer form, maybe documentary or narrative cinema. Now, these tools in the UI of Resolve are useful for many editors, but in some instances they might be overly complex, and we might have a lot of information in here that just isn't necessary for certain projects. We maybe don't need to bring in bins, create smart bins or sift or add metadata or really work with that element of kind of media management with a lot of projects. The timeline itself, sometimes if I've got gesture-based input, I want to trim down on the timeline. There's a lot of motion of moving and zooming in and out the timeline that I maybe don't want to have to do. The cut page actually comes along and solves a lot of those problems and introduces a way in which we can use Resolve differently as an editor for really fast-paced projects and where we need to really think about either speed to air or delivery to clients as quickly as possible. We don't want to sift media, we don't need to meta tag, we don't need to really work in the media management side of Resolve. We just want to cut content and get it out. So you'll see the UI itself is actually a lot more simplified, but also a lot more efficient. We've taken away palettes that we don't need, and we've concentrated really on core information. So I can actually clip between shots, I can review, I can scrub over clips, and I can make quick decisions about what I want to use. If I do want to go into a list view, I still can, so now I can see metadata, I can organize clips as needed. And then I've also got a clip viewer, which will now show me my entire clips from beginning to end. So I can actually at a glance see the content of clips with a thumbnail and still scrub through. We have one viewer, so we don't add the two up that we would see in a nonlinear system, but what I can do here is switch between my source and my timeline and then scrub between them quite efficiently. Down below in the UI here on the bottom half of the screen is where some of the real key advantages have been made. And we have a new dual timeline system. The upper timeline shows me my entire project from beginning to end without changing the UI. The whole project will shift and shuffle down. And it means at a snapshot or just at a glance, I can see my shots, I can see the build, and I can see where I've worked in the timeline. The bottom timeline, when I hit play, has a fixed playhead. And this means as the upper timeline shows me where I am in relationship to my entire sequence, the lower timeline shows me all the shots moving through, and I can actually sort of glance and grab. They're interactive as well, so as I scrub one, the playhead in the upper timeline will move, so I know where I am all the time in here. But from an edit tool point of view, this is where it really does start to work quickly. So with just a single clip, I can mark in points, I can play or scrub through and mark out points, and if I want, I can still drag and drop and move clips into my timeline. I could also grab shots in the upper timeline, reposition, insert, and move around. And the lower timeline will follow that edit with me as well. If I wanted to sort of work on a cut, I can even drop down into the lower timeline now, and I've got some gesture controls. So I can ripple shots, I can roll between cut points, and I can ripple the timeline as well very quickly. And Resolve knows what kind of edit I want to make in the timeline as I'm working through. One of the new tools that we have, though, in Resolve 16 that's part of the cut page is something called source tape. And source tape is an even faster now way of reviewing the content. Source tape will take all of my clips that are in my pool and in my bins that I want to work with and appends them all to each other. So now in my source view, I have every single clip on a single timeline. Now if I'm using either just keyboard or mouse or the new edit control keyboard that we've announced, I can run through my timeline, mark in and out points, and quickly punch shots down. And if I'm building a new timeline, I can use the append tool and just keep adding shots to the end of each shot, building my timeline as I go, then go back through, maybe trim it, tidy up, and work with the timeline as I want to. So the whole idea of the cut window is to create fast, efficient workflows. It's for us to kind of work around all the content we want without really needing to worry about sifting. We don't want to rename our shots necessarily. We just want to take the content, choose the best elements, cut it down, build a timeline, and get working. Then the final thing, maybe we want to tidy up some shots, maybe add some transitions. We can just quickly add a dissolve in, and then if I load the dissolve to my preview, I can retime it. If I don't want the transition anymore, hit the cut window and I can get rid of it. So it all works incredibly quickly and nice and fast. And then finally, we've added two tools really up here in the UI where we can actually look at how we deliver this content as well. So I don't even need to leave the cut page if I want to start to deliver the content from my project. So I can actually go to a quick export option, and the quick export will let me render out to H.264, H.265 if I want to deliver to those file formats. But also it will let me deliver, for example, to YouTube. I'm going to manage account, and I can render files directly from the cut page to my YouTube account, putting in my account information directly into Resolve. I can do that with Vimeo, and I can also do that now with Frame.io that we've announced with Resolve 16. So I've actually got some compliance and some review platforms that I can work with Resolve as well, directly from the cut page. And then finally, we've also got an option up here where, we can close that out, where we can actually change the aspect ratio if I wanted to. So I can actually create a portrait mode if I wanted to deliver to social media, Instagram TV and various other platforms where it would be a portrait mode video, and I could actually just go in and maybe scale and resize my shot and work with it and play around, rebuild that and put it out on the portrait mode if I wanted to, and reset it. So what we believe with the cut page is it creates an entirely new way of working for nonlinear editors. The edit page itself remains unchanged in the sense of we haven't compromised any of the tools that live in the edit page. We haven't broken anything. It will be an efficient tool for craft editors. The cut page adds a ton of speed and features for people that want to cut direct to air. That could be where we're working with commercial partners, when we're working in advertising or any content that needs to be loaded up into air. You know, journalists and guys that are working around with us at the booth here at NAB have been amazed. They can take their videos they shoot of us, put it through Resolve and put it up on YouTube as fast as possible. And then the other option is that we can use the cut page even in craft mode, and thinking about long form. We can actually bring sequences in, cut narrative block, maybe think about how we work with some of the narrative build or dialogue editing. And then of course, anything we change inside the cut page is automatically and dynamically linked to the edit page. And we can take those edits and we can rework with them and build those as we want to in the edit page and deliver full projects. So that's everything we needed to sort of talk and show about the cut page. We hope editors enjoy using it, and the public beta of Resolve 16 is available now to download and try.